welcome to our Consul General for today's press briefing. As we see now in the May of early summer, and the recent days, the Kurdistan region of Iraq is in its best season. So everywhere is clad with thriving green. So at the same time, thousands of miles away, Beijing, our capital, is also pretty vibrant as a remarkable wave of diplomatic fever is unfolding. Within just 1 week, the US President Donald Trump and the Russian President Vladimir Putin paid state visits to China, one after another, and that captured the attention of the whole world. So today, our Deputy Consul General, Mr. Jieanksin, will give a briefing to all of you on these two summits and to provide you with some more detailed and clearer information. So now I would like to hand the time over to my Deputy Consul General. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dear friends from media, good afternoon. It's always a pleasure to have friends from media to come with us. And welcome to today's briefing. And before I start with Eid al-Adha approaching, on behalf of Chinese Consulate General and Consul General Mr. Liu Jun, I would like to extend our sincere festive greetings to all of you here present and through your media to vast Muslim in the Kurdistan region. I'm learning Kurdish, and I don't know if it's right. It's in Kurdish, it's Jasni Gulabantan Pilo Spit.
That's right.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just as my colleague said just now, over the past 10 plus days, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin visited China one after another, just within 1 week. Yeah. So in the history of international diplomacy, such frequent summit meetings between leaders of major countries are a rare sight. The world are watching very closely. When I talk with friends in the Kurdistan region, they told me their eyes are glued to the TV. So I think here, friends in Kurdistan also have very strong interest in the summit meetings. So we think it's necessary to have this briefing to let me introduce some major what happened in the summit meeting. So I'll start with the China-US summit. As is well known, the China-US relationship is the most important and complex bilateral relationship in the world. It is anchored by presidential engagement from May the 13th to the 15th. US President Trump paid a state visit to China. This is the first face-to-face engagement between President Xi and President Trump since their Busan meeting last October. That was in South Korea. And also the first visit to China by US President in 9 years. This visit includes not only official talk, a welcoming banquet, but also private exchanges and a cultural visit. The two presidents toured the Temple of Heaven together and spent nearly 9 hours with each other. They showed mutual respect, a commitment to peace, and a shared interest in pursuing cooperation. During the visit, President Xi and President Trump had long discussions on major issues concerning China-US relations and world peace and development in a way that was open, thorough, constructive, and strategic. They actively saw the right way for the two major countries to get along with each other and reached a number of common understandings in this respect. And here also the two presidents agreed to keep in close touch through meetings, calls, and letters. At the invitation of President Trump, President Xi will pay a state visit to the United States this fall. Yeah. And here I would like to highlight the following 4 aspects of this summit meeting. First, the new vision for China-US relations. We have a new vision. The most important political understanding is that two presidents agreed on a new vision of building a constructive China-US relationship of strategic stability, which provides strategic guidance for bilateral relations over the next 3 years and beyond. This is how China understands it. It should be positive stability, where cooperation is the mainstay and the relationship gets more resilient through exchange and cooperation. As the world's top two economies, China and the United States share deep ties. Neither can cut the other out or prosper without the other. We both gain from cooperation and lose from confrontation. So while a confrontational relationship will be disastrous for both countries and the world, China-US cooperation will get many great things done to benefit of both and all. It should be a healthy stability, where competition is kept within proper limits and is not turned into a zero-sum game. Major country competition is nothing new, but China-US relations should not be defined by competition. When competition does happen, it must be a healthy one, where we learn from each other, pursue excellence together, and compete fairly in compliance with rules. The purpose of competition should be to outdo oneself so that both sides become better. It should be a constant stability where differences are manageable and the relationship should not be like a roller coaster. Both sides should maintain policy continuity and stability. It is very important for both sides to honor our words and move in the same direction. A positive outlook of China-US cooperation will provide more certainty for both countries' development and for the international situation. And it should be the lasting stability where peace is expectable and the conflicts and wars are not acceptable. Peaceful coexistence is the biggest common denominator of China and the United States. Conflict and confrontation between us will produce consequences no one can bear. The bottom line is that both sides must abide by the 3 China-US joint communiques, respect each other's social systems and development paths, respect each other's core interests and major concerns, and respect each other's right to development. So this is the first highlight, the new vision. And second, I want to mention that achieving the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation and making America great again can go hand in hand. And the two countries can help each other succeed and advance the well-being of the whole world. As transformation not seen in a century accelerates across the globe, the world has once again reached a crossroads. President Xi raised some important questions. Can China and the United States overcome the Thucydides trap and create a new paradigm of major country relations? Can we meet global challenge together and provide greater stability for the world? And can we build a bright future together for our bilateral relations in the interest of the well-being of the two peoples and the future of humanity? These questions are vital to humanity, are vital to history, to the world, and to the people. These are the questions of our times that Chinese and American leaders need to answer together. The two presidents had in-depth discussions on China-US economic and trade ties. President Xi emphasized that the economic and the trade ties are mutually beneficial and win-win by nature. Where disagreements and frictions exist, equal-footed consultation is the only right approach. The two sides agreed to establish a board of trade and a board of investment. addressing each other's concerns regarding market access for agriculture products and expanding two-way trade within the framework of reciprocal tariff reduction. It is worth mentioning that many US business leaders accompanied President Trump to China on his trip. Many of them are very renowned, you know them, Elon Musk from Tesla, SpaceX, and Tim Cook from Apple, Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, and like Mark Zuckerberg from Meta or Facebook, so, and many others, so you know them. And President Trump even invited them to the official talks. So President Xi spoke to every one of them and encouraged them to strengthen cooperation with China and stress that China will open its door still wider. So these business leaders, they all said that they have a deep commitment to the Chinese market and want to grow their business in China and strengthen cooperation with Chinese partners. So it is clear that China remains a hot destination for American businesses and investors. Yeah. The two sides also agreed to pursue more exchanges on foreign policy, military ties, economic and trade, public health, agriculture, tourism, people-to-people ties, and law enforcement. The summits will also re-energize exchanges between the two sides, legislative bodies, subnational entities and business, academic and media communities. So President Xi welcomes more young Americans to visit and study in China. President Trump has also said that he welcomes Chinese students to the United States. The two sides have also agreed to support each other in hosting this year's APEC Economic Leaders Meeting and the G20 Summit. The third highlight I want to mention is the Taiwan question. It was an important topic taken up at the summit, and China's position is very clear. First, the Taiwan question is China's internal affair. Realizing complete reunification is an aspiration shared by all sons and daughters of the Chinese nation. It is also the unwavering historical mission of the Communist Party of China. The mainland and Taiwan belong to one and the same China. This is a fact established since antiquity, the real status quo of the Taiwan Strait, an important part of the post-war international order. Second, the Taiwan question is the most important issue between China and the United States, one that affects the entire relationship. If it is handled properly, the overall relationship between China and the United States will be stable, and the two sides will be able to devote more energy to advancing mutually beneficial cooperation. Otherwise, the two countries will have clashes and even conflicts, and the entire relationship will be in great jeopardy. Third, China and the US both agree on the vital importance of safeguarding cross-strait peace and stability. To ensure this is the case, one must never indulge or support Taiwan independence, because Taiwan independence and cross-strait peace are as irreconcilable as fire and water. So our impression coming out of the summit is that US side understands China's position, takes China's concerns seriously, and like the rest of the international community, does not agree with or accept Taiwan's moving toward independence. Here I want to emphasize that one China principle is not only the political foundation of China-US relations, but also a basic norm of international relations and a universal consensus of the international community. So far, 183 countries worldwide have established diplomatic relations with China on the basis of one China principle. Yeah, we hope the KRI government and people from all walks of life will firmly uphold the one China principle, jointly safeguard the authority of the UN General Assembly Resolution 2758, adhere to the purposes and the principles of the UN Charter, and work together to maintain the international order and the world peace. And the fourth highlight I want to mention is the Middle East situation, which you care most. Yeah. President Xi set forth China's consistent position. He emphasized that the use of force cannot solve problems, and the dialogue is the only right choice. Negotiation may not produce immediate results, but now that the door of dialogue has been opened, it should not be closed again. China encourages the US and Iran to continue settling their differences and disputes through negotiations, including on the nuclear issue. China calls for reopening the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible, on the basis of continued ceasefire and the belief that the fundamental solution to the stalemate in the strait lies in achieving a permanent and comprehensive ceasefire. China has been working to promote peace talks and will continue to play its role for an early end to the conflict and the restoration of peace in the Middle East. So in conclusion, China-US relations concern the well-being of over 1.7 billion people of both countries and affect the interests of over 8 billion people of the world. China is prepared to work with the United States to follow through on important understandings reached by the two presidents in Beijing and seek the right way for major countries to get along in the new era. These efforts will bring more benefits to the two peoples and make greater contribution to world peace and development. And the second is the summit between China and Russia. From May the 19th to the 20th, Russian President Vladimir Putin paid a state visit to China. It is President Putin's 25th visit to China, and it is President Xi's 43rd meeting with him. So you can see this frequency. Yeah. This visit fully demonstrated the high level of China-Russian relations in three aspects. First, the two sides deepen political mutual trust and work together to set a model for major country relations. As President Xi emphasized, this year marks the 30th anniversary of the establishment of the China-Russia Strategic Partnership of Coordination. Over the past 3 decades, the China-Russia relationship has weathered challenges and reached the historic high level of a comprehensive strategic partnership of coordination for the new era. This year also marks the 25th anniversary of the signing of the China-Russia Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation. For many years, the two countries have strictly observed the principles of non-alliance, non-confrontation, and not targeting any third party, as established in the treaty, and have remained committed to equality, mutual respect, good faith, and trustworthiness, and win-win cooperation. President Putin said Russia-China relations are currently at an unprecedented high level. The development of Russian-China relations has strong inherent momentum. Cooperation between the two countries is not directed against any third party and is not affected by geopolitical changes. Second, the two sides historical opportunities, and comprehensively deepen good neighborly and friendly cooperation. In recent years, cooperation between China and Russia in various areas, such as trade and economy, investment, energy, science and technology, people-to-people and subnational exchanges, continued to advance, and the bonds between the two peoples have grown stronger. President Xi emphasized that both sides should build on the momentum, deepen the alignment between China's 15th five-year plan and Russia's development strategy through 2030. During the summit, the two presidents signed and issued a joint statement on further enhancing good neighborliness and friendly cooperation between the two countries. We also witnessed the signing of 20 cooperation documents in areas including economy and trade, education, science and technology. The two sides also reached 20 cooperation agreements in other fields. The two presidents decided to hold the China-Russia Year of Education from this year to next. So this is also the 10th national level theme year between the two countries. Third, the two sides uphold fairness and justice and lead the reform of the global governance system. President Xi emphasized that as permanent members of the UN Security Council and important major powers in the world, China and Russia must firmly fulfill their responsibilities as major powers, uphold the authority of the United Nations and the international fairness and justice. The two sides should oppose all forms of unilateral bullying and actions that seek to reverse the course of history, especially provocations that deny the outcomes of World War II and attempt to whitewash or revive fascism and militarism, and jointly promote to build a more just and reasonable global governance system. President Putin emphasized that Russia-China bilateral cooperation is an important stabilizing factor in a volatile international situation. And Russia is willing to work with China to uphold the authority of the United Nations. The two sides issued a joint statement on promoting a multipolar world and a new type of international relations. So the above is the details of these two summits, which fully demonstrated that in a turbulent world, China is a mainstay in maintaining international order and upholding fairness and justice. In the process of development and revitalization, China is a reliable partner in sharing development opportunities and carrying out mutually beneficial cooperation. Whether it is the steady and the long-term development of China-US relations or the continued friendship between China and Russia, it is beneficial to world peace, stability, and global economic development, and will undoubtedly benefit the international community, including the KRI. Thank you.